So let's talk about one of the most powerful tools in branding today, the minimalist logo. We're going to explore why, in a world that is just drowning in visual noise, going simple is almost always the smartest move.
I mean, think about it. Every single day, we are just bombarded with ads, with social media posts, brand messages. It's a constant battle for our attention. So the real question is, in all of that chaos, how do you make sure your brand's voice is the one that actually cuts through?
Well, the answer might not be what you think. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about speaking with the most clarity. And that, right there, is where minimalism comes in as the perfect antidote to all this modern branding chaos.
Let's be real. First impressions happen in a split second. In the super fast-paced world we live in, you just don't have time for a complicated introduction. Your brand's identity has to hit home immediately, and that makes a simple, clear logo more critical than ever before.
This right here is the core philosophy we're digging into today. And the idea is actually pretty profound. When you strip away all the unnecessary stuff, you don't actually weaken your message, you make it so much stronger. Okay, so what exactly is minimalism when we're talking about logos? Let's break down the fundamentals that really make it work so well. At its heart, minimalist design is really a strategy. It's all about taking your entire brand's big, complex idea and distilling it down into its purest, most essential form. You know, think about the Nike swoosh or Apple's logo. They say everything about innovation and quality without a single bit of clutter. And here's the thing. These four principles are totally connected. Real simplicity leads directly to clarity, and that clarity makes a logo versatile enough to look great anywhere, from a tiny little app icon to a giant billboard. And when you nail all three of those, you create a design that's truly timeless.
You know, this isn't some brand new idea. It's really an evolution. Logos started out super ornate, really complex. But as the world got faster, modernism came in and shifted the focus to function over just flashy form. And then, the digital age sealed the deal. A logo had to work on a tiny phone screen, and suddenly, simplicity was king.
Okay, so we know what it is. Now let's get into the why. Why is this approach so incredibly powerful? Let's look at the real, tangible benefits for a business.
I mean, the difference is just night and day. A cluttered design is tough to remember, and it looks like a mess when you try to shrink it down for a social media profile. But a minimalist logo, it's instantly recognizable, and it scales perfectly on any screen. It's a massive strategic advantage.
So here's the bottom line. A simple logo is just easier to remember, which builds your brand recognition way faster. And because it works everywhere and it doesn't go out of style, it gives you a distinctive identity that actually lasts. Oh, and here's a great bonus. It's genuinely more cost-effective. Fewer colors mean cheaper printing, and simpler designs save a ton of time and money when you're adapting them for new things.
And this is so important to understand. We're not just talking about a design trend. Minimalism is a business strategy. It communicates clarity, it communicates confidence, and that is how you build deep, lasting trust and loyalty with your customers. All right, now for the fun part. You get the what and the why. So let's jump into the how. Let's talk about the practical process for actually creating your own minimalist masterpiece. Here are 5 tips you can actually use. First, you have to find your brand's essence. What's the one big idea it stands for? Then, use negative space, that empty white space, to let the design breathe and create focus. Choose clean, timeless fonts. You'll find that sans-serifs usually work best because they're so easy to read at any size. Then, simplify your shapes down to their most basic forms. And be incredibly strategic with your color. Every single element has to have a purpose. Okay, a few common questions always seem to pop up whenever we talk about minimalism. So let's do a quick rapid-fire round and tackle them head-on.
This is a big one. If you're a small company, do you need a simple logo? Or should you maybe try something more elaborate to get noticed?
The answer is a huge, resounding yes. For a startup, a minimalist logo is pretty much perfect. It's affordable, it's powerful, and it helps you establish a professional, confident identity right from the get-go. It helps you compete with much bigger players.
But, okay, if everyone is going simple, how do you keep your logo from looking, well, generic?
The secret is remembering that simple does not mean boring. The uniqueness comes from what you choose to simplify. Focus on a shape or a color or even a little typographic twist that is uniquely tied to your brand's personality. That's how you stand out.
And finally, to make sure we've got a balanced view here, we have to ask, are there any downsides to this approach?
And honestly, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Some brands, especially those that need to convey a deep sense of heritage or maybe a lot of complexity, might actually find that a more detailed logo is a better fit. The design strategy always has to serve the brand's unique goals.
And that really brings us to our final takeaway. Minimalism isn't just some fleeting trend. It's a powerful, timeless design philosophy. It's an essential tool for any brand out there that wants to make a truly lasting impression.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Just forget about logos for a minute and ask yourself this. If you had to boil your entire brand down to one single essential idea, what would it be? The answer to that question is your very first step toward a truly great design.